Hey there, third grade. This is Mr. Campbell. Today we're going to be working on page 261. This is lesson 7.3, Make Bar Graphs. And at the end of today's lesson, we want you to be able to say, I can make a bar graph to record information and answer questions about a data set. All right, so we've already talked about pictograms and tally marks. Today we're going to be talking about bar graphs. And bar graphs are just another way for us to organize information and then be able to answer questions based on it. So let's go ahead, zoom in here, just like we did last lesson. We're going to start off looking at our data table and then creating our own bar graph down here based on the information that we've got up here. All right, so when we look at a bar graph, there's a couple of things that are really important. Number one is the title. The title will be up at the top. All right, so we need that title. On the left-hand side, it's going to be going up. All right, and this is going to give us different information. This says number of pages that have been read, and we're counting by twos all the way up. So every single time we see a line is going to be counting by twos. And then down here at the bottom, it says the students' names, and we've got each of the student names down here. Now, when we do a bar graph, we're going to be creating a bar that goes up to the different ones over here. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So again, up here at our data table, we've got daily reading log, which is the same as the title down here. All right, here we have our students' names, which match down here, and number of pages read, which matches over here. So let's start off here with Yoma. All right, Yoma is our first person, and Yoma read 13 pages. So I'm going to come down here to Yoma and start at the bottom, and I got to go to 13, and we're counting by two. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. If I go up to the next line, I'll be at 14, but she only read 13. So that means my line needs to stop in between the two lines. All right? Because just like when we were doing our picture graph, half of whatever our symbol was half. In between these two is half, and that would be one more. So 12, 13, 14. So 13 is there. All right. Now, when I make my bar graph, I like to start off doing a line like that. And then I'm just going to build my bar off of it. I just do my line over a little bit and then straight down. And then I'm going to shade that in. Now, when I do this, I'm not shading in. I'm not spending a ton of time coloring it. I'm just coloring it nice and easy like that. Let's take a look at our next one. Next up was Don. And Don read 10 pages, right? So I'll start at Don at the bottom, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then just like I did for Yoma, I build out the rest of my bar and shade it in. All right. Shade it in. Next up, I've got Bonita. Bonita read 10 pages. All right. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I'm always making sure when I look at the bottom that the name is going to match whatever it is up there, because sometimes they might not. I might have to find them down here. Now, this was nice. They made them all in a nice order for us, so it was nice and easy. Last up, we've got Adam, and Adam read 6 pages. So we've got 2, 4, 6. I stop there and shade it in. All right. Now, the reason that this can be really helpful is because I can ask questions like, which two people had the same number? And all you're looking for is the same height graph, right? The same height. And so that'd be Don and Bonita. We'd say, who read the least amount? And all I have to do is look for the shortest one. And I go, oh, that was Adam. Or who read the most? And you'd say, oh, Yalma. Because look, she's got the tallest graph there. All right, so this is what we're going to be working on today. So let's go ahead and flip over to page 262 as we look at our next page. Here we are on page 262, and if you're not there, pause the video so that way you can follow along with. All right, it says Greg made a table to show the amount of money he saved each month from tutoring. Use the data in the table to make a bar graph. So here is my table for my data. And inside of here, I see that it starts off with my title, which is the amount Greg saved each month. Over here, I've got my months and then how much he saved in each of those months. All right, let's slide down to box B. It says write a title. So they've already got the title, amount Greg saved each month. All right. choose the scale and decide how much each unit will represent. So that's over here on the side. All right. So we've wrote amount saved in money, like dollars. All right. And they chose to make each one worth 10. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Why would they do that? Why would each one be worth 10? Well, when I look at mine up here, they want to choose a unit that's going to make the most sense, that they can have the most amount of information. So if they would have chosen twos, if these would have been skip count by two, then when we have $65, that would have been a lot of different lines we would have had, right? So we don't have that many lines, so they chose to skip count by tens. And so what does that mean in between our different ones is? Well, it means it'll be half. And I can always do that by looking from 0 to the first one. So I have 0 to 10. Well, what's half of 10 is going to be 5, right? So I know that any of these middle ones are going to be 5. All right, so as I look through, if it breaks off at one of these, that means the ones place will be 5, and then I'll have that other number. All right, so let's go ahead and check that out. So we've got our data up here. I'm going to be talking about it as we look here. So in January, he saved 25. So 10, 20, and then look at that. He went to that halfway mark for 25. In February, he saved 50. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then made that bar. In March, he saved 65. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then we needed that 5. So in between. And in April, he saved 40. So 10, 20, 30, 40. All right. It's just a way for us to look at that. So then we can say, well, which months did he do the most? Which 2 months did he save the most? And I can just look for which 2 are the tallest, right? I could say, which month did he save the least? And I could look for which one is the smallest bar. And that's exactly what we're doing here in this type of a problem. So we're going to come down here. We're actually going to do the convince me today, but I'm going to give you the different numbers for this one. All right. So it says write new amounts for how much he saved in the next 4 months and consider the scale. So when I see the scale over here, I see that it only goes up to 70. So I know that none of these should actually be more than 70, right? So let's go ahead and you write them in with me. So in May, Greg saved, we're going to put 50, and then we need to make sure that we have our dollar sign. All right, so $50. In June, Greg saved, we're going to put $45. All right. In July, Greg saved $10. Ooh, not a good month of July for Greg, huh? And in August, Greg saved $70. Ooh, it was a good month. All right. Well, now that we've got this, now we can create our bar graph. We still have the amount saved over here, the months down here. All right. Up here, we've got our title, amount Greg saved each month. And I'm going to start with May. In May, he saved, we said 50. So I'm going to start in May. I'm going to go up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You should be doing this with me. And then I'm going to build my graph, or my bar, I should say. All right, there it goes. All right, there's May. Now, June, he had 45. So I'm going to do the same thing. 10, 20, 30, 40. But then I'm going to go up halfway, right? Because that's 5 more. So that's 45. All right, quickly shade that in. In July, he only saved $10. So, ooh, just that one little bit there. And then in August, he saved 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way up to the top. All right. And then I can shade that in. All right. So when I shade in each of these, I can see quickly which ones were the most, which ones were the least. It also helps me to be able to look quickly and say, are there any that were the same? All right. And we might see that at a later time. But this is why these bar graphs help. Well, let's go ahead and turn to page 263 and check out our next problem. So here we are on page 263. We're going to skip the top right now. I want you to come down here to number 5 with me. All right. Number 5 says, complete the bar graph to show the data. So here's our data over here. And we've got a lot of different pieces of information inside of our data chart. All right. The favorite store for clothes. We've got our different stores. We have the number of tallies, which is the number of votes. All right. So over here at our graph, there's something that is missing that right away I need to look at and go, uh-oh, that's a problem. I hope that you said there's no title. We don't have a title for our graph. So we need to look back over here and say, what is the title for my graph? Well, it's favorite store for clothes. So write that in with me right now. Favorite store for clothes. All right. So favorite store for clothes is our title. Now I see here we're skip counting by fives going all the way up. Well, that works out really well over here because we've got everything is going to be by five. So my first one is Deal Mart. How many students chose that? Well, 15. So I'm going to go up 5, 10, 15, and I go right to that line, draw my bar, and shade it in quickly. All right. What about Jane's? How many people love Jane's? Well, there was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We had 30 votes. So I come over to Jane's, and I'm going to draw a line up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then I'm going to color in that bar. And I'm going to pause here for just a moment because I want you to try out Parker's and Trends. Try out those two on your own. So would you pause the video, try doing those two right now on your own, and then press play after you've done those two. All right, I hope you were able to pause the video and try these two out on your own, Parker's and Trends. If not, do it now. Parker's, I see, has 20 votes, and so I'm going to start here and go all the way up to my 20 line and shade that in. All right, and then Trends just has 5, so it's just going to go up to the first line right there, and that is it. And now I can always double check. I can come over here and say, well, Trends had 5. So here's 5, and I'm going to come all the way across, and sure enough, that's as tall as it was. Parker's was 20. So if I find the line for 20, there it is. All right. Jane's, I see, was 30. It's over here, and boom, there it is. There's Jane's. So each of these should go up to the line that lines up with it. All right. Now I'm going to ask you, would you please put your finger on the two smallest not favorite stores, the least favorite stores, the two least favorite stores. What would those be? And I hope you grab your fingers and you put them on Deal Mart and Trends. Those are the two smallest ones, which tells me those are the ones that are going to be the least favorite. Now, which one is the most favorite? Put your finger on the one that's most favorite. And that would be Jane's, right? Jane's, because it's the tallest one. And that tells me, oh, that's going to be the favorite one. All right, well, now we're going to come up here to number 4, all right? And so for number 4, it says to use the table to complete the bar graph, all right? So we've got our data table up here, and we've got our bar graph down here. I want you to pause the video, use that to fill in our bar graph, and then check your work after. So I want you to try this out on your own for right now, all right? And then check your work. All right, hope you were able to pause your video and try this out. We're going to go ahead and go over it right now, all right? My first one, I see chess has 6 people. Over here, these are all counting by ones. So I'm just going to have my chess go all the way up to 6, and there is chess, all right? So there's my chess one. It should look something like that, going up to 6. Guitar had 10, and that goes all the way up to the top. All right, all the way up to the top. And so guitar is the whole thing. Painting is going to be 7. So I'm going to start here and go all the way up till 7. All right, and then I'm going to shade that in. And my last one is writing. And the writing class had 9. So I'm going to go all the way up to my 9. And then I'm going to make my bar off of that. All right. And the reason I'm going so quickly on this is you should have paused the video and done this one on your own. So you're just checking your work. Does yours look something like mine, where you've got different heights for each one? All right. It helps us out so we can look and go, oh man, how much different, how many more students liked guitar than writing? Well, only one more. I can see that because there's only one more line than that. All right. What about chess and painting? How many more people liked painting than chess? Well, I just go up to chess and say, how many more did it have? Well, it had one more than that too. So this is a way for us to be able to use this graph to be able to tell information. And that's what we're going to keep on working next time. So thanks so much for working hard with me today. We'll see you next time. Have a great rest of the day.